So let's talk about setting your therapeutic dynamic up for success. Now, we have a booklet that talks all about the client therapist relationship. And so there's a few actual terms or themes that we talk about that I find are really important for us to be able to work with from the very beginning of therapy so that we ensure that our clients have a really good experience in the therapy room and we be on their time out of therapy. Now, think about this just not even therapy, right? If I go to a doctor's office or an urgent care and the person is clear, transparent, kind, respectful, and communicative with me, I already feel calmer. I feel well taken care of, and I feel like I'm going to get exactly what I need, or my loved one is going to get what they need. If somebody comes in frazzled, unsure, not communicative, telling me two different things, or kind of being rude and talking to me like I'm uneducated, I'm not going to have a very good experience. And so I want to just talk about the few key, really important pointers in setting up good psychotherapy. So one of the things that's really important is transparency, right? We need to set up our therapist-client relationship for success right from the start, from the very first appointment, and I also feel like even before your first appointment, right? From the first phone call. Okay, start off right after you're welcome by saying something like, I don't know you well right now, but I'm committed to getting to know you at a pace that feels right to you and organic for both of us, right? So you're letting them know that everybody has a different pace that they get to know people. You're going to go at a pace that feels right for them and is organic for the two of you, right? Although I'm a skilled therapist, I'm a newbie in your life, right? And I'm looking forward to getting to know you. Together in this room, we're going to create a space for you to feel heard, to be able to hurt, to cry, to mourn, and also to share about all your hopes and dreams. Our relationship is a blank canvas in which we will create a masterpiece together as you evolve in this process, right? I'm going to be here to support you. So it's not a matter of just saying you're only here to talk about your pain or you're only here to talk about your joys. You're here because this is going to be a place where we help you uncover who you are, past pains, current joys, hopes, strengths, and going wherever they want to go or need to go from here. Okay? These types of sentences, right, being able to communicate in this kind of way, can help our clients to really develop slowly over time a secure sense of attachment with you. And we're always going for developing security and a secure sense of attachment in the therapeutic relationship. They need to be able to feel like you're a steady bedrock for them to lean on so they could do really good work, right? Good therapy is less about framing and laying out your narrow action plan than it is about being incredibly nuanced and mindful. So it is important, just in terms of the framing thing, it is important to have a framework that you're working under. At the very same time, therapy is not just like a skill where you're administering a skill, right? And an intervention. It's a nuance, it's a dance, it's a dynamic. We're blending art, right? Creativity with science, with the research-based information, looking at their symptoms, making sure that we are addressing certain symptoms and goals together with our client, okay? We want to be open, we want to be empowering. You want your body language to be open, empowering, honest, while also being, healthily guarded, obviously with good boundaries. But you're letting the client know that they can feel secure in your presence. You're clear. No questions are going to throw you off, and you have a lot of clarity in the process. Okay, so that's a really important piece in terms of the aspect of transparency. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the art of nuance. Do you know the feeling, the old school doctors, or it used to be sometimes where you'd go to a therapist or you go to a professional and they sit behind their big, oak or wooden desk and you're sitting on the other end and you're the client who's broken or needs help and they're the expert. That's not how it is today, right? We don't have a big desk separating us. There's often just an open space. And of course, there's space between you and your client, but there is more of we're two human beings on this platform. I am the skillful person who's going to help you, but I'm compassionate and I am humble, right? So one of the pieces here where we talk about the art of nuance is, number one, we talk under, not over. Okay? So the nuances really matter. When a client is trying to understand something and they're not fully understanding, we don't raise our voices, right? There were some old schools, or there are some people that, they're trying to explain something to you and you don't understand. They just raise their voice higher. But that doesn't work, right? The other person is not understanding. What we do is that we lower our voice. Let's say someone is like aggravated, a child is aggravated, a client is, discombobulated or fragmented. Instead of raising your voice and activating them to feel even more nervous and anxious, we lower our voice. voice, right? We go a little lower, right? We talk under, not over. We say, hey, Sally, I realize this is like a lot of information for you to take in. I'm going to just slow down a little, and I just want you to check how you're doing right here, right now. Or let me try to say this again in a little bit of a simpler way. I might have lost you with too many words, right? Lowering our voice can help clients regulate themselves. Old school doctors and psychologists would talk louder, stronger, and more firmly when a client got defensive, dissociative, disagreed, or maybe got scared for what they thought was no reason, right? When people say, like, this is a difficult client, right? We now understand that how damaging that approach was. Today, we lower our voice and we slow down our pace because we want to be sure our clients can feel tuned in, right, to us. We aren't in the business of fighting against our worry and concerns. So if a client is feeling defensive, nervous, checked out, it's also about expectations. Instead of us trying to force them to be or see or understand something, it's more helpful to say, wow, I see as I'm saying this to you, there might be some part of you that doesn't agree, or you might not be fully getting it. Let's try this again, right? So eye level support safety, right? If you're a tall therapist or tend to have an overpowering presence, it's important to be humble enough to lower yourself to be the eye level of your client. You know how, like, sometimes you see like a parent who's like, hey buddy, how are you? And they're looking down, and there's the parent who crouches down to the kid's level, and then there's the parent who sits on the floor and is like, I'm with you, I'm playing with you, right? It's the same thing with therapists. If you have a big presence, if you are tall, if you take up a lot of energetic space, you want to just lower that, okay? You want to kind of sit down on a lower level. I have a colleague of mine who's very tall, very brilliant, but he had a client. He had a new client that once came in, and the client was overwhelmed by how tall he was. She was like, "Oh my God, I'm here to do trauma therapy, but like you're overpowering." And he would like draw on a whiteboard. And at one point, he was like, "Is this too much?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, I'm sitting down. I have long, lanky legs, but you know what? I'm sitting down. Here's my whiteboard. Is it okay if I jot things out this way?" And she was like, "Yeah, totally. But just you being tall in this room, it's like too much." So a lot of times, like, being able to be humble, notice the dynamic in the room is really important. Eye level is really important. If you're standing, then maybe try to bend, right? Lower. This helps to energetically meet our clients where they're at. They might already feel a sense of power differential. So it's important that we don't magnify that. So any kind of, person who is receiving help or giving help, there's always a dynamic, right? Like, there's the giver and there's the receiver. Okay, so already there's a dynamic of you're helping me and I'm in the vulnerable position. We've all been in a place where either we were the giver or we were the taker. So it's really important to not magnify that and actually just bring yourself back down to eye level to be able to connect with them, right? Right, a big part of rebuilding safety within the therapeutic room, especially when a client has had challenging power dynamics with a past therapist or in a past relationship or in a family, is that, they might not be able to pick up on the nuance, but they'll be able to feel like this tangible energy, right? It might be covert of either like, I'm with you or I'm here to be the expert. So you want to be like the I'm with you and I'm here to do this together with you, as an important way of communicating with the client that you are there with them and you're there to connect with them, and you're not better or smarter or more powerful than them, but you are a therapist who's going to help them with the work. So those aspects are important to keep in mind when starting to work with a client.